when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah, well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
That's right. Let's go. Yeah, when you're feeling down and you're out, like you got nothing but doubt, you're alone in the crowd, just trying to figure it out. All that is bad, and this money got you feeling left out. Listen up to me now, every word that's out of my mouth. Wake up, it's me. You're gonna follow your dreams, or are you just gonna be another cog in the scene? You feel the hope in this beat, yeah, the hope that you need to proceed and be exactly what you want it to be. I feel right and I'm proud, hype and I'm loud. I'ma shout all about how I feel in the now. Ain't nobody ever gonna try to change me till I'm dead, pushing up daisies. I'm alone in the crowd, I won't feel down. I got hope right now, and I know I'll be found. I don't really care just what all other haters gotta say. I know everything I do is gonna make them fade away.
And when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah, well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something. Yeah, then all you really need is hope.
Let's go. Yeah, it's what you need when you're down, need when you're out. It's what you need when you're sad and when you feel left out. You feel an energy drought and then creeps out, but with a little bit of hope you can figure it out. Keep your head high even when you're down inside. Through the pain you fight and through the painful nights you keep striving, keep trying, keep driving, rising, keep thriving, surviving. Nothing's in your way but yourself. Don't need nobody's help. You can make it through this hell. Take it one step at a time, one step as you climb. If you fail you'll be fine. Get back up to the grind and never lose sight of your mission. Be driven. This life is a prison if you don't have vision. You're in it to win it, so get it, don't miss it. Your chances now, so be something somehow. Don't let yourself down. That's right. Sometimes all we really need is hope.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning. It's been a long week, long week. I'm sure you guys have probably had similar going on, but my life has been crazy since I went to North Carolina, came back, and it's just been busy ever since. Nothing has slowed down at all. And so been a little bit busy, haven't really been on. But we have a ton of things to touch base on in pretty much every case that we're covering. We are going to certainly start with Elijah and Sebastian today. Kayla Montgomery also is now out on parole. If you guys didn't know that, she was granted her release and she's free. So that happened yesterday. Let's see what else. Also, Cody Bigsby trial is taking place. So we are going to do a long video about that likely tomorrow because there's a ton of information out of the different live streams and posts and Twitter feeds and news articles and everything else to go over in the Cody Bigsby case because unfortunately we cannot watch that trial live. His brother testified yesterday and his mom testified on Wednesday, and so there was a lot happening in that court case. I'm just hoping that they are going to find justice for him somehow in throughout this process. The prosecution has very little witnesses. The defense only has a few as well, and so the defense actually has more witnesses than the prosecution does. It took them 2.5 days to seat a jury in that case. The trial itself was only supposed to last less than a week because of the lack of evidence, because of the lack of remains and stuff in his case. And so they're looking for it to be done Monday or Tuesday, like completely. So we will have our answers shortly about that. But like I said, we'll go over Cody's case a little bit more tomorrow. Cody Bigsby obviously is the child who is perceived to be deceased. We can't see the evidence that the prosecution is putting out because they have us locked out of the courtroom, but they are hopefully going to find his dad guilty of murder. So that's what we're looking at. Let me catch up and see who else here. Hi, BG, OG. Hi, Victoria. Hi in the bushes, Miss O. Hello. Hi, Holly. Hi, Mo. Hi, Jennifer. Lioness, good morning. Hi, Cooter G. Hi, Emily. Hi, Libby. Good to see you. Hi, Carol Clark. Trying not to miss anybody. Hi, Happy Hippie. How are you? Yeah, I thought it was May too. Apparently it was March. And yes, she is out free. So she's been working on herself and her life. And so, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation though. Hi, Pointer Lover. How are you? Hi, Diane. So let's see. Let's start with Elijah. Let's start with Elijah because I feel like there is going to be a lot more discussion around Sebastian's case. And so we'll start with Elijah and then we'll go into Sebastian's. And honestly, if anybody wants to come on panel and join me at any time, just let me know. Sebastian's case is interesting, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this because to me it seems like I don't know, it's a combination. It's reminding me of a combination of cases, right? Um, Slightly like Summer Wells in the fact that it's in Tennessee, they're not finding him. There seems to be almost no evidence of where he went. He just vanished into thin air. And then on the other side of things, it's reminding me of like Ryan Larson because of how Ryan Larson just kind of vanished. Um, in both cases, we have no clue if there's foul play or not. We don't know what happened at the end of the day. And so this one's kind of like a mystery in itself as to what happened. And I feel like we're at the edge of a very dangerous slope in his case. And so that's why I said that I feel like we'll save that one for the end because I feel like there's going to be a lot more discussion surrounding that one. Elijah Vue, there is a lot of updates as far as the court hearing. We're going to watch that because I have not watched it yet. And so we are going to watch that court hearing and kind of discuss that. But I think in that case, it's very clear that there is some type of foul play surrounding Elijah, right? It's very clear that somebody did something and this child is no longer there, in my opinion, anyways. If I was sitting there and I had to make the decisions, I would say, yes, there's likely foul play in that case. With Sebastian, I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure where to go with it. And so that's why I want to discuss that one with you guys more in depth. Hi, Ramblin' Rome. How are you? Hi, Nene. Hi, Amanda Page. You're so undone about Kayla. But I don't think I think she will be in and out too. Me too, Amanda. 100%. It bothers me that she's out, but I don't think it's going to last very long. So, hi, Annie Lou. Hi, BC. Hi, Ramblin'. Oh, it's okay. Your contractor just showed up. Okay, so let's pull up this court hearing first. We'll start here. Yesterday, let's see. Yesterday was the 7th. Yes. Okay. So yesterday morning, his mother and her boyfriend were back in court again. So this is from Wavy TV2 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So Elijah Vue, for those of you guys who do not know who he is the 3-year-old who is missing out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin. And he has been missing now since February the 20th. Now, that's the date that he was reported missing, not necessarily the date that he actually went missing, if that makes sense. Um, I personally believe that he went missing prior to, and that they waited to call police and report him missing in order to cover up some sort of nefarious thing that may have happened to him. Unfortunately, I do not think that Elijah's case is a situation where we ever even had the chance to find him alive. And I hate saying that about babies, but I've said this before whenever I first started covering him, whenever BC sent me his photo and his information and things like that, I almost instantly said, I can't cover this. I can't cover this because we have been losing too many cases. We have been we have been covering too many cases where we are covering dead children, and it's upsetting, and it breaks my heart. And honestly, it gets hard. It gets hard to cover case after case after case where they are found deceased. And so I hesitated on covering him simply for that reason. As soon as she told me that he went missing in the middle of the night or in the early morning hours with his shoes on, red flags right there. And then it's just been one thing after another that leads to more and more sadness, and unfortunately the unlikelihood that he will be found alive. Police are still saying that they are hopeful that they can find where he is, and that they are doing blue and green hearts. Blue for his favorite color, or which way was it? Either blue for his favorite color or green. I can't remember. Hold on, I think it was blue for his favorite color and then green for hope. And so the blue and the green flower or hearts are how they are representing him, so that they can, hope that there is still a chance to find him alive somewhere. The police will never say, until they have definitive evidence that someone is deceased, they will never come out and say that they are deceased. They will never take that last ounce of hope away from the public until they have that information, right? And so they're going to continue to hope, and they are going to continue to share it as if he could potentially still be out there, until they come forward and say, unfortunately he is believed to be deceased. It is, Annie Lou. Absolutely. We all need to take a step back sometimes. It is very important. And that's what this week was for me. Honestly, guys, it was so much going on in my personal life, and then on top of these cases, I just took a breath of air and took a break. I just took a break. So, let's watch this court hearing though. I'm curious how many of you guys have seen this yet? Put a 1 in the chat if you've already watched Elijah's court hearing for his mother and mother's boyfriend. So let me play this.
Lieutenant Aaron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Which case are you here for?
I am appearing for Dakota Gomez's case with Terry Craig Jr.
Gotcha. Okay. As soon as I get Attorney Harrison, I'll find out the status of those.
All right, thank you.
I'm here, Your Honor.
Attorney Harrison. Attorney Harrison, what can you tell me about Craig and Milton?
Mr. Milton will be requesting an adjournment.
Yes.
The jail then?
Yes.
Okay. Jackie, are you set?
I just wanted. Is the family all? Okay, we're good to go then, Judge.
Then we'll go on the record in state of Wisconsin versus Katrina Bauer, 24 CF 163. Appearances starting in the courtroom.
State appears by Jacqueline Labrie.
And on Zoom.
Katrina Bauer appears with their attorney, Ann Larson, by Zoom from the Manitowoc County Jail.
The matter's on the calendar for a preliminary hearing today. I had an opportunity to talk with counsel earlier. Attorney Larson had filed previously a motion to modify bail. And then I think it was late yesterday, filed a motion to dismiss count 1. My understanding after talking with counsel is that Attorney Labrie anticipates filing an amended complaint. And based on that, the parties are asking to adjourn the preliminary hearing 1 week and proceed with the bail motion today. Attorney Labrie, is that your understanding as to how we're proceeding?
Yes, Judge, and I did file the amended complaint prior to coming to court today. I emailed a copy to Attorney Larson and the court.
And Attorney Larson, that's your understanding as to how we're proceeding today?
It is, Your Honor.
So what the court is going to do then is this: as it relates to the preliminary hearing, in light of the filings, I'm going to find good cause to toll any applicable time limits. I'll adjourn the preliminary hearing to March 14th at 10:30.
Judge, we're going to do that at 11.
Oh yeah, sorry. We'll do it. We'll adjourn to March 14th at 11 o'clock. Thank you, Attorney Larson. That leaves us with the bail motion then. Attorney Labrie, did you have an opportunity to review the bail motion?
Judge, I did have an opportunity to review the bail motion.
All right, Attorney Larson, go ahead.
Your Honor, we are asking that the court reduce the bond to one of a signature. I would note that Ms. Bauer is a resident of Wisconsin. She's a lifelong resident of Wisconsin. She has no serious record. She has 2 prior CMs of disorderly conduct and 2 CTs. She had no misses in the 2 CMs, which were in 2011 and 2015. In 2017, she had the 2 CTs I referenced. All of these were in Outagamie County, with the exception of the first, which was in Winnebago County. In the 2017 cases, she did miss court. She missed court on June 20, in 17 to CT 236. She missed court on June 23rd of 2017. A bench warrant was issued, but on June 21st, but on June 23rd, the bench warrant was not issued. In 17 CT 752, there were several warrants issued. There was one issued on February 5th of 2018. She was appointed an attorney on February 7, and the warrant was canceled on February 9. On May 16 of 2018, a bench warrant was issued. On May 23rd, bond was reinstated. On August 14, a bench warrant was issued, and on November 15, bond was reinstated. Again, that was in Outagamie County. No cash was ever ordered. Ms. Bauer did suffer a significant brain injury in 2015. I do not know if that contributed, but that would be my guess. She has some difficulty regarding dates and things of that nature. She did have a neuro assessment done. I do not yet have that, but she is receiving SSDI for that condition. As I stated, she's a resident of Wisconsin. She will not leave the state of Wisconsin. She doesn't have anywhere to go outside of Wisconsin. Obviously, this is a very high profile case. There's a lot of high emotion going on, but there's also high emotion going on with Ms. Bauer. She's been worried sick, not knowing where her son is. She had been planning on moving back to Two Rivers since the Wisconsin Dells is quite expensive. I don't know what her immediate plan will be, but I would propose that she will attend court hearings with me. She has transportation. She does have the ability to also appear at non-evidentiary hearings by Zoom. I further assert she's not a danger to the community. For those reasons, Judge, we are asking that the court amend the bond to one of a signature.
Attorney Labrie.
Your Honor, the state is opposed to any modification in bail. As Attorney Larson indicated, the defendant in 2017 had multiple failures to appear for court in Outagamie County in 17 CT 752. She also had that failure to appear in 17 CT 236, as well as the 2 prior disorderly conduct cases. As far as record outside of Wisconsin, we don't have any convictions for her, but she does have contacts with law enforcement in 2014. In the state of Nevada, one in March of 2014 and one in April. Again, those weren't convictions, but it does show that she has had contacts outside of the state of Wisconsin. The state feels that the cash bond at this point is appropriate. In fact, in light of the amended complaint, I would say it may even be low. We have now changed count 1 to chronic neglect as party to the crime. We have also added the count 4, which involves neglect to another child who is 6 years old from February 14th. So now she's facing additional charges with much higher penalties. These cases obviously involve the care of some very young children. One of the children is around the age of 3, the other is around the age of 6. And not only were we dealing with the defendant sending the child to Two Rivers for discipline, or the boot camp as they described it, to make that child fearful of the co-actor so that when the child returns to her residence, he would behave better. There is also evidence that on February 14th, she left the 6-year-old unattended in a vehicle for approximately an hour in cold weather. The temperature around that time was around probably 27 to 30 degrees with the vehicle turned off. Then we have also, as part of count 1, the chronic neglect on February 16th, leaving the 3-year-old unattended for at least an hour as her and the other co-actor are traveling to locations in the city of Manitowoc, and neither one of them are seen with the child. It's clear that this defendant is facing some serious charges and there's grave concern. She knows she's facing potential imprisonment, which is an incentive to flee. She also was encouraging the co-actor not to cooperate with law enforcement on February 20th. She was messaging the co-actor to not say too much. Don't let them, or no, don't talk, ask for an attorney, those types of things. I think at this point, it's clear that cash is warranted. I would ask that the cash either remain the same or be increased. I don't think a signature bond at all is appropriate based upon the totality of the facts, the new charges, and her past record. Judge, I do know there is one victim who wanted to make a statement regarding bail. I don't know when the court would like to hear that.
Right now.
Okay.
If you're done. Yeah.
I'm done with my argument, Judge. The victim wanted me to read their statement because of concern of reading in front of a courtroom.
That's fine. Just we'll need the name of the person who you're reading the statement on behalf of. If you could give me the name and spell the last name.
Okay. The name is Jody, And the statement is, I have known Katrina Bauer longer than anyone else, as I am her mother. At this time, I am asking the court to deny any bond modification for a multitude of reasons. I understand bond is not meant to be a punishment, but as an assurance to appear. While you have access to some of Katrina's records, there are records in other states, including Nevada and California, you are not seeing. She has contacts in other states that may be willing to assist her depending on the story she is telling. Her story always depends on her audience. At this time, rather than aligning in locating her son, she feels the need to reiterate what a good guy Jesse is and is fully defending him and his actions. By aligning with him, she could potentially have access to his extended family and ability to flee the area. Katrina routinely will blame anyone and everyone for what happens without taking responsibility for her actions. It goes without saying she is incapable of making appropriate judgments in everyday life, which is likely being available for future court dates and questioning. Katrina has no ties to the community. When I asked her why she would go back to Jesse, she stated, I felt alone. I can assure you she is well aware of resources available, but she chose not to use them. She severed her relationship with me in October of 2022, so there is no family in the area. While paper will show minimal income, there is unaccounted for income when compared to her spending. I am aware she allowed Jesse to claim her children as dependents on his taxes, and he gave her half the refund they received. I am also aware she receives food stamps for a child not in her care and has miscellaneous unclaimed income. In 2016, while we resided in California and my oldest daughter was having heart surgery in Wisconsin, so I was here with her. At that time, Katrina faked a forced abduction and had missing person reports filed in California. She was located in Minnesota, where she was taken a hold for erratic behavior and drug use. Officers offered to drive her to Wisconsin, and she refused to leave, stating she was there by her own free will. Katrina has struggled with depression and anxiety for many years, has a history of erratic behavior. She has been suffering from traumatic brain injury and is highly likely to forget mandatory appearances. I don't feel it's worth the risk to lower her bond, especially as the victim has not been found and many questions are unanswered. She does need to be held accountable for what rules out in the future, and I feel releasing her, she would be a flight risk. I have been the victim on her verbal and emotional abuse for a very long time. If the court finds any reason to reduce her bail, I would like to be assured of my peace and safety with a court-ordered no contact and GPS monitoring.
Right. So the court's primary consideration in determining bail is assuring the defendant's appearance in court. Quite frankly, I haven't seen the amended complaint yet. I don't necessarily know that I need to. There's enough in the complaint that I feel, in combination with her current circumstances, that bail is set right about where it needs to be. And of primary concern to the court is that based on the allegations in the original complaint, her son was missing and she was not being truthful with law enforcement about whether or not she was in the area. that in combination with the fact that she, at least for now, has an address in Wisconsin Dells. I know Attorney Larson makes reference to the fact that, it's the state of Wisconsin, and she may have residents an opportunity to reside in Two Rivers. It's certainly going to take more than opportunity in the borders of the state to make the court feel assured that she would appear. The behavior that's outlined in the complaint in terms of not being honest with law enforcement as far as her presence goes gives me an incredible amount of concern about whether or not she would, in fact, make herself available for future court appearances. So for those reasons, the court will deny the motion to modify bail. I'll ask Attorney Labrie to draft an order to that effect. Attorney Larson, just as a follow-up to the motion, though, in the event she has some definite place to reside locally that might accommodate a daily check-in, that I'm not saying it would carry the day, but it's certainly something the court would consider, just for the sake of your discussions with your client, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the record on this case, Attorney Labrie?
Not on this case, Judge.
Attorney Larson?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Before we adjourn, then I just want to let the folks generally assembled know I've talked with the district attorney about this so that they can communicate it to the family. I typically don't allow people to wear shirts for missing people or alleged victims in the courtroom, especially once we get to the point where Ms. Bowers or Mr. Vang is going to be in person. I have no problem with the fact that people have them. I understand why. And I got no problem if people want to cover them up with a jacket, but I typically don't allow those to be worn or exposed in the courtroom. It's not the kind of thing I was going to make a big deal about today and have people removed, but I'll let you know going forward. You show up wearing the shirt, you'll be shown the door. So, and it's not for any reason other than I'm trying to maintain the temperature in the courtroom here and not have people get too excited. So with that, we'll be adjourned on this case. James, who's next?
Mr. Vang.
Luke, while we're waiting, you had any luck tracking down Mr. Craig? Hey, Lieutenant Aaron, you said you're here for Craig?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll call that one next. Hey, James.
Yes, sir.
Craig's not in custody by you anymore, is he? We'll go on record in the state of Wisconsin versus Jesse Vang, 24 CF 162. Appearances starting in the courtroom.
State appears by Jacqueline Labrie.
Mr. Vang appears in custody from the Manitowoc County Jail without an attorney, correct, sir?
Correct.
All right. Mr. Vang qualifies for public defender representation. They've been unable to find an attorney for him yet. I would note Mr. Vang has filed an application for court-appointed counsel. Mr. Vang, what I can tell you is this. The application is a bit premature. I have to give the public defender's office an opportunity, if you qualify, to appoint an attorney for you before I hook the county with that bill. We may reach the point if the public defender can't find an attorney for you where it becomes timely for you to file something like that, and I'll let you know. But for right now, that's not an application the court's going to consider, given the fact that they've barely had a week to find somebody for you, okay? All right. Given the fact, though, as I noted, that he does qualify for public defender representation, the court is going to find good cause to continue to toll any applicable time limits, and we'll adjourn the matter to March 14th at...
Judge, do we want to put this at 11?
I was going to say, we'll move this one to 11 o'clock as well.
Thank you.
Anything else for the record from the state?
No, Judge, thank you.
Then we're adjourned. James, who are you giving me next?
You honest?
On the record. What was that, Mr. Vang?
Yeah, I just got a question I want to put in a motion for bail reduction.
Yeah, what I'll have you do is this. Put in writing the reasons that you want to have your bail modified. Get that filed through the jail with the clerk of court, and we'll take it up at the next hearing on Wednesday, okay?
Okay. Who do I direct the judge to?
Me.
Okay.
Okay?
Your Honor, what's your name?
Robert D. Wayne.
Okay. All
They'll,
right.
they'll help you out. They'll get it to the right spot. Okay. It gets filed by your case number as opposed to finding me. So you get something in writing, just make sure you put your case number on it and we'll talk about it next week. Okay, sir?
All right, thank you.
All right. Then we're adjourned. James, what you got next?
So I don't know if it's so much that, Seal. She said, so it looks like they're looking more at mom than Jesse. I don't know if it's so much that, or if it's the fact that Jesse still does not have a lawyer. Because they are under the same charges and things like that, they're gonna have to get him a separate defense counsel, basically. So you somehow think putting it in writing is going to be a problem, just in case they're in a situation where they're basically fighting against each other, basically. So, let's see here. So I want to show you guys the new criminal complaint. That is one of the things that happened over the past couple days. This is a picture of him sleeping. He's absolutely adorable. But then whenever I read these complaints to you guys, you're going to be angry and upset, honestly, because they have this picture of him sleeping, but then they have other pictures of him sleeping as well. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those and go down through this. Just a trigger warning. As you guys know, we cover true crime on this channel. True crime is always triggering. If we ever cover a case that is not triggering, I would love that, honestly, because it gets tiring reading about these abused and beaten and harmed babies day after day after day. But so that is your advance notice that the details in this document will make you angry and they will trigger you to want to cause physical harm to these adults in this case, just to be completely honest. Oh, thank you, Diane. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this is the amended criminal complaint against Katrina. This is against mom. And so this was filed yesterday with the clerk of courts. And so it says the above named defendant on or between February 12th and February 18th. Now, mind you, he was reported missing on February the 20th. Okay. And oh, you'll go watch if this ends up in trial. You don't live too far away. That's crazy neat, Noodle. It'll definitely end up in a trial. It's just a matter of when. They have to find him first. That's going to be the biggest issue. Hi, Dina. Yes, they are still in jail. Yes. Sorry. Okay. And so he was reported missing on the morning of February the 20th. The dates that they are going to be talking about here are from the 12th until the 18th. I still am curious and wondering in my mind if something happened, in the days leading up to the 20th, and then they got rid of him, reported him missing later. So it says, in the city of Two Rivers, Wisconsin, as party to a crime being a person responsible to the welfare of a child, victim child 1, date of birth 8/2020, through her action, the reasons other than poverty negligently failed to provide necessary care as to the seriously endanger the physical, mental, and emotional health of the child. The nature and probable consequences of this violation would be harm under, and then they list all the codes. Although the harm did not actually occur, and the actor is guilty of chronic neglect as she committed 3 or more violations under those codes with a specified period of time involving the same child. So it's a Class H felony, and upon conviction may be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 6 years or both. So count 2 is obstructing an officer. It says the above named defendant on or about Tuesday, February 20th in the city of Two Rivers, Wisconsin, did knowingly obstruct the officer while such officer was doing an act in the official capacity in the lawful authority obstructed officers contrary to the codes, which is a Class A misdemeanor, and upon that conviction may be fined no more than $10,000 and imprisoned not more than 9 months or both. The third count is obstructing an officer. Again, this one is, it says the same exact thing. So up to 9 months for that one. Oops, go this way. So count 4 is neglecting a child again. This one is on Wednesday, February the 14th. And so they have the 2 different dates that they are saying that she did child neglect now. So first was the February 12th through the 18th, and then they have a specific date on February the 14th. Let me pull that up. I think I only put up the first page here. So hold on. So then it goes into the probable cause statement behind this document. And it says, the complaint alleges that he is informed by the reports of Megan, known to the complainant to be a detective with the Two Rivers Police Department, and 2 different detectives from the police department essentially filed this report based on the information that they have. And so on February the 20th, the Two Rivers Police Department was notified by dispatch that Jesse Vang called 911 at 10:59 a.m., reporting that he was babysitting a 3-year-old child victim. Vang reported that while watching the child, he fell asleep. When he woke up, the child was missing. Law enforcement responded to the residence, and in attempt to locate the victim, law enforcement has been unsuccessful in locating victim child 1 as of February 26, 2024. So obviously that was older. They still have not found him. On February the 20th, the detectives spoke with Vang at the residence, and he said that he was in a relationship with Elijah's mother, Katrina, and stated that Elijah had been staying with him recently. He stated that he has been trying to help Katrina correct Elijah's bad behaviors. Jesse also stated that he had been assisting with the care of Elijah for approximately 1 month, but not continuously. He stated that on today's date, 2/20/2024, he woke up and with his autistic teenage son, and Jesse helped his son with getting on the bus at approximately 7:30. Jesse stated that Elijah was still sleeping after he walked his son out to the bus. Jesse stated that he woke Elijah at approximately 8 a.m. and brought him into the bedroom with him. He stated that he shut the door and fell asleep. Jesse stated that he woke up at approximately 11 a.m. and found that Elijah was gone. Jesse said that when he called 911 to report Elijah missing. On February the 20th, he spoke with the detectives and stated that the victim child 1 has been in the care of Jesse for approximately 1 week. Katrina Stead resides in the Wisconsin Dells. She stated that she dropped Elijah off with Jesse on February the 12th, and she intended on Elijah coming back to Wisconsin Dells on February the 23rd. So he allegedly went missing just 3 days before she intended for him to come home, allegedly. So on February the 20th, they spoke with Katrina, and she denied that she was in the county on February 16th and 17th, which they obviously had evidence whenever they confronted her about that. So this is all still the same, right? What changes is what's going to be on the next pages. This is all still the original parts of the complaint. So the detective is aware, pursuant to the charges, that law enforcement did conduct forensic extractions of Jesse Vang and Katrina Bauer's cell phones, and they were consensually turned over to law enforcement based on the analysis of these cell phones. Specifically, location data was obtained. Law enforcement obtained that information and it contradicted what Katrina's statements were. Shocker. That she had not been in the area February 16th and 17th. Law enforcement located messages from Jesse to Katrina at approximately 6:39 p.m. and 6:49 p.m. on February 17th, where Vang tells Katrina that he is angry that Elijah overfilled his diaper with poop and pee, and that Vang gave Elijah a cold shower. He noted that Elijah was clean but scared. This, to me, was this the day that things actually happened? So I guess I said 16th earlier. I meant the 17th. Did finally something happen? Or did it happen and that's why she went out there on the 16th and 17th? And this is them texting each other to try to make it look as if he was still there and had this accident. You know, there's something going on with this timeline that I do not get. Hi, Rhonda. It is. It is always nice to have people available to report back. I agree. Ed, that would be awesome. Okay. So the detective spoke with Katrina and she stated that Jesse was the enforcer in the roles in the relationship and was the reason for sending Elijah to stay with Jesse. She discussed with him the limits of what discipline she did not want used. Other than that, she is fine with whatever discipline Jesse enforces. She gave examples of discipline, including praying, saying he was sorry, and going over the 4 rules that Elijah is supposed to be memorizing. At no point did she admit that she was in the city of Two Rivers between February 12th and February 20th, or that she had any face-to-face contact with Elijah. She said she was discussing behavior issues with Jesse around Thanksgiving of 2023, and he said that she needed to be harder to stop that behavior. Katrina stated she wanted Vang to teach Elijah, by example, how to be a man. She said the first time Elijah had gone to stay by Jesse without her was January 24. She said the past week was the longest time that Elijah had stayed with Jesse without her being there. The detective said that when he talked about this past week, she admitted that she had been in Two Rivers on February 16th and said that she left the Wisconsin Dells around 6 or 7 p.m., arrived in Two Rivers late at night. She saw Elijah on the couch, but he was tired, and she left the early morning of February 17th. She was confronted about being in Two Rivers on a different day, and she did admit that she was in Two Rivers on February the 14th for a period of time and then went back home. Oh, yeah, at the age of 3. That's whenever everybody is raised to become men. Rhonda, didn't you know that? At 3 years old, you better be ready to get a job and move out because, you know, you've been toddling around here a little bit too long at that point. It's just absolutely asinine, honestly. Yeah. And then to be tossed out like trash too. It's so sad. And we don't know for sure that that's where they're going to where he is. I mean, they did search the landfill for Elijah, and now they're searching the landfill for Sebastian. It's I don't know, it's devastating. So on February 20th, Jesse consented to meeting with law enforcement at TRPD and agreed to a consensual interview. During the course of the interview conducted, the detective Michael of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office and Detective Hermans also spoke with Jesse at the apartment prior to going to the Two Rivers Police Department. Fang made consensual statements in regards to the recent interactions with the victim child. Fang stated that victim child 1 is afraid of him and then corrected himself and stated that he respects me. He stated that they put Elijah here as punishment for his behavior. They were trying to teach him how to be good here and good at home. Jesse indicated that he is trying to make him understand that going home is like a privilege for him. Jesse stated that Elijah was disciplined using timeouts. He described the timeouts as being standing for periods of time, 1 to 3 hours. During this time, Elijah was required to pray or say, "I'm sorry, mommy." Jesse reported that Elijah was in timeout for the majority of his time with Jesse, and it was intended as a form of boot camp for a 3-year-old, you guys. A freaking 3-year-old. Boot camp. Other than getting into things, Jesse was unable to identify specific bad behaviors which required time out. Jesse reported that Elijah was not potty trained and that he was still wearing diapers. He advised that he changed Elijah's diaper at least once per day. On the evening of February 19th, 24, Jesse changed Elijah's diaper prior to him going to bed at approximately 8 to 9 p.m. He then watched Ready Player One prior to putting him to bed. He stated that the victim child was not watching the movie as Vang put him into punishment. He stated that Elijah will stand in the corner or stand by the bed by me. Jesse stated, he gets pretty tired, I guess like from standing too. He explained he does not want to be mean to him, but he's trying to teach him to be more respectful. He was asked about February 19th if he made Elijah stand, to which he replied, yeah, for probably like 2 to 3 hours. Jesse confirmed again that Elijah stands for 2 to 3 hours without sitting. In the event that Jesse tries to sit down, Vang will say, "Want cold water?" He then indicated he's fine. It's not like his knees are shaking and about to fall over. You know? I just I just can't. Like, this guy is so disgusting. Right. What could a 3-year-old possibly do to deserve that? That's the worst part about it, in my opinion, Annie. Like, we couldn't even say what type of behavior was wrong other than getting into things. Guess what? That's what 3-year-olds do. That's what children in general do. They get into things, they play, they make messes, they get dirty, they do all the things. And so it's just mind-blowing that here we are making this 3-year-old child stand for hours and hours and hours and can't even give a reason. Yes, and then that's the only thing. Who only changes a toddler once a day? I can't even imagine how sore this baby probably was. The only thing that I can think is he likely was probably not feeding or giving him like liquids very often either. Why wasn't he trying to train him with pull-ups or something? Well, still, why would you do that? You just spray them with cold water until they learn to be a man, and then you don't have to worry about potty training them. Silly goose. On the morning of February the 20th, Jesse woke up at approximately 7:30 and prepared his son for school. At that time, he saw Elijah sleeping on the futon in the living room. Jesse took his son to the bus stop and locked the apartment door. Upon returning to the apartment, Jesse found Elijah still sleeping on the sofa. He woke Elijah and they ate breakfast. He reported that Elijah ate some cereal, which had frosting on one side and wheat on the other, without milk. They went to Jesse's bedroom, where Elijah was told to stand and pray near the foot of Jesse's bed. He did not change Elijah's diaper as he was too tired, and Elijah was not allowed to do fun things as he was in timeout. Timeout for a week. I don't know, Lauren, but it's honestly, it would not surprise me. You asked your 69-year-old hubby, how long is a timeout for a 3-year-old? Yeah, 3 minutes, right. Hi, Alex Erickson, how are you? Yeah, 3 minutes, not 3 hours, not a week, not all of these things. So they asked him about any toys at the apartment. Jesse reported that there was one toy which he received at Christmas time. This toy was similar to a toolbox. However, he was not allowed to play with it during the week of February 12th through the 20th as he was in timeout. When asked what happens if the timeout did not work with victim child 1, Elijah, Jesse stated that he would give him an ultimatum. Jesse reported that the ultimatum was usually, "Do you want some cold water?" Jesse reported that Elijah did not like cold water, but he did not know why. Like, I wish that they could stand this man in the bathroom at the jail and make him stand while they spray him with cold water until he tells where Elijah is. That's what I wish. You don't know why he doesn't like cold water. You don't know why he doesn't like getting thrown into a bathtub in cold water on a consistent basis. Come on. Yeah, too tired to change the diaper and then punish him for overfilling it. Make it make sense. I know, Amanda. It is. It's so strict for a 3-year-old. A 3. Like, I can't. I know, me too, Cooter G. He denied following through with the ultimatums. Oh, so he just threatened him on a consistent basis. Just some emotional abuse. It's not a big deal. I'm not actually abusing him. I'm just emotionally abusing him. No biggie. When he asked what the victim ate while he was with Jesse, he stated pizza, noodles, cereal, and similar items. He stated that Elijah was still bottle fed and that he was trying to get him to eat regular food. He was unable to provide specific details as to the food because he probably didn't feed him. While Jesse was sleeping, he would lock the door to the apartment at the doorknob and deadbolt with a security chain attached at the top to keep Elijah from walking out of the apartment. Jesse reported that on the evening prior to Elijah going missing, that he consumed 3 12-ounce Budweiser beers and did 1 cyclobenzaprine as a sleep aid. Katrina and Jesse's cell phones were reviewed by law enforcement, including text and Facebook messaging. So this is the new information that they've pretty much added here coming up. And so their cell phones were reviewed by law enforcement, including text and Facebook messaging. On February 13th at approximately 9:30 p.m., Katrina and Jesse began discussing Katrina's coming to Jesse's apartments for, intercourse. Jesse says that Katrina cannot see Elijah when she goes to the apartment and that Elijah can be placed in the bathroom while they're doing that. At approximately 10:12 p.m., Katrina sends a message to Jesse that victim child number 2, meaning his autistic son, can just sleep in the car. So we'll put my older son out in the car and we'll put your son in the bathroom so that we can have our little romantic rendezvous. Then approximately at 11:45 p.m., he says Elijah will be put in the living room and that Katrina needs to be quiet as she walks through. At 12:39 a.m. on February the 14th, Jesse asked Katrina to send her location so he knows when to put Elijah to sleep. At 12:39 a.m., he was not already asleep. Put asleep, like he needs a last minute moment to put him to sleep. Were they drugging this child? Hey, thanks for joining, B Crumbs. Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome. Yay. Okay. They also discussed her stopping at Quick Trip in Manitowoc on the way. On February 14th, her cell phone arrives at Two Rivers at approximately 2:27 a.m. There were Facebook messaging between Katrina and Jesse. At 2:35, Katrina asked Jesse, "Is there a way to shut off your headlights completely?" Jesse responds, "No, cannot sit off completely." Katrina messages and says, "I can't find victim 2, date of birth 5/27 or 2017 cell phone, but a cop just passed. So I wanted to make sure she's good. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that it was his son. No, it's her older daughter that she's leaving in the car. My bad. I thought it was his son that she was referring to. I thought that's who victim child was. Victim child number 2 is her older daughter that she's leaving sleep in the winter in the car while she's doing the things with Jesse. A 7-year-old. We'll just leave her in the car by herself. Got to make sure that she doesn't have her cell phone. Don't want her to alert anybody that she's out here by herself. Just want to make sure that she's good. Victim child 2 is a child for which Katrina is a parent of, and Katrina indicated victim child 2 is autistic to law enforcement. Katrina messaged, "Let me find her phone quick because I need to have some type of sound for her." So she's going to just turn the phone on to play music or something while she's in the house. Interesting. Jesse messaged, "Probably think someone is warming up." Katrina responded, "Not worth the risk. I'll leave it off for a bit and then turn it on again." Jesse said, "Okay." She messaged, she found the phone, but it was dead. She messaged she would leave her phone in the car, and she questions whether to leave her phone on but mute it around 2:40 a.m. She also messaged and said, "It should stay warm for a bit, right?" He responded, "Yeah, it will." At approximately 3:13 a.m., a photograph was taken, and the GPS indicates that she was at 3918 Mishicot Drive, Two Rivers. The photograph shows victim 1 child laying down on a bed. Victim 1 child had a blindfold over his eyes and appears to have bruising on his jawline and neck on the left side, as well as bruising on his upper arm. Katrina confirmed that she took the picture and later deleted it around 4:12 a.m. Katrina's phone left Two Rivers at approximately 4:30 a.m. on February the 14th. According to the National Weather Services, records indicate the low temperature for Two Rivers on February 14th was 27 degrees, and the high temperature was 36 degrees. She left her baby in a car, not running, her 5-year-old autistic daughter in a car, not running, and it was 27 degrees outside so that she could go in and hook up with this loser. It's just appalling. What the heck are these people thinking? Hi, Heather. Yeah, they need to never be around children ever again. Ever again. Oh, yeah, it does get worse the more I read. The worst part is she lost custody of her kids and they put them back. They put them back with her. This is why I say follow-up care, even if the kids are returned back into these homes. How do you know that they're not still being abused? How do you trust that these parents just absolutely change their lifestyles? I don't care if they are replaced back with their parents, if they're in foster care or adoption. These kids that go through this system need follow-up care, period. Follow-up care, follow-up care, follow-up care. I can't say it enough times. B Crumbs, thank you so much. B Crumbs gifted 10 Sleuth Mom memberships, guys. Thank you, thank you. For everybody who is getting a membership, congratulations, Diane, Jennifer, Rock, Colleen. Plants are my jam. More with Manny, Thistle, Myra, Honeybug. Welcome, guys, to the Sleuth family. Thank you so much, B Crumbs. She's just, it's just a trip. I can't. I hope so, Mo. Yeah, the 6-year-old and his son, I hope they are in good hands. I hope so. So in review of the Facebook Messenger messages between Katrina and Jesse, They located a photograph taken on February 15th at approximately 8:24 p.m. that shows Elijah standing in a corner, diaper only. His hands appear in the praying position, and the diaper looks full. It appears the photo to have been taken at Jesse's apartment. Phone records further indicate that Katrina returned to the city of Manitowoc on February 16th at approximately 11:01 p.m. She called Jesse's phone at about 11:15 and went to the Quick Trip store to purchase items, which was confirmed by surveillance video. At approximately 11:21 p.m., Katrina texted Jesse's phone. He said, "ONM, put him to sleep." No, she said that. Put him to sleep. How do you just like last minute put these kids to sleep? I don't understand that. That's what I'm not understanding. Hi, sexy, freaking wild thing. Papa Elvis Claus, longest name in the world. Sexy wild thing, McLovin, freaking Papa Elvis Claus. That is the best name ever. Best name on the YouTubes. But my question is, how are you putting him to sleep? Now, we know she took a picture of him blindfolded. Is that what they do? They just put him somewhere blindfolded whenever they're saying put him to sleep? At approximately 12:30 a.m. on February 17th, Katrina and Jesse's cell phones moved to the city of Manitowoc. At approximately 12:50 a.m., Jesse went to Saucy's bar in the city of Manitowoc and went inside by himself. This was confirmed by a patron of the bar. Their phones separate for about an hour. During that time, Katrina traveled to the Quick Trip located at 2103 South 42nd Street in the city of Manitowoc. The officers were able to view surveillance video from the Quick Trip store. In that video, Katrina can be seen sitting in the driver's seat of the vehicle. There is no child seen in the vehicle. Where's her daughter during this trip, I wonder? Because we know that they left Elijah alone at least, but where's her daughter at? Maybe they say in a minute. Hold on. So in that video, she can be seen sitting in the driver's seat. There is no child seen in the vehicle. At approximately 1:45 a.m., she is seen making purchases inside of the Quick Trip store alone. At approximately 1:55 a.m., her phone travels to Jesse's location, and they return to Jesse Vang's apartment in Two Rivers. At approximately 5 a.m., Katrina leaves Two Rivers. On February 16th, victim child 2 was being taken care of by a person in the Wisconsin Dells area. Okay, so that's where her daughter was. On February 16th, Elijah was in Two Rivers and supposed to be under the care of Jesse and Katrina. Law enforcement has been unable to locate anyone other than Jesse or Katrina who cared for the child on February 16th and 17th. On February 18th at approximately 4:36 a.m., Jesse messages Katrina and says, "I told you to trust me. I'ma make sure he hates me and being here." She responded, "Don't want him to hate you, just fear you." Jesse responds, "It's okay. Someone had to be the bad person." Katrina messaged and said, "I know, but either way, he can fear you and respect you." Jesse messaged, "He did fear me, but he didn't respect me. Now I'm making him respect me." What? Oh my God. Yeah, Kim, that's what we were talking about at the beginning. She did. She got parole. She's out. Yeah, we all hate you, dude. You just made the whole world freaking hate you, and ain't nobody respect that. Nobody respects what you guys did to this child. I want to know where they put the baby. Where did you put Elijah? At this point, I don't know if she was in on this, if she was aware that something horrible happens to Elijah, if I don't know. I don't know. Welcome to the sleuth family. Just give 5 more memberships. Here we go. Welcome, Rhonda, Cindy, Sexy Wild Thing, Emily, Clicker AK. Welcome in. It's just extremely upsetting because she was very aware that all of this was going on, right? She's very aware and an active participant in helping him to abuse her child, essentially. In helping to let this stuff happen. Yeah, she condoned the abuse, so we know for sure because she took the photo. Why would you take a photo like that? What's the point? Yes, all the green just in time for St. Patty's Day. So the latest update from the police department was put out actually on the 5th of March. So it's been 3 days since they have given a public update. And their update on that day said Elijah has not been found. Law enforcement from all over the state, including FBI, DCI, and DNR, assisted in searching rural areas in Minnetonka County this morning and will continue to do so into the afternoon. Yesterday, we requested public assistance by reviewing their surveillance footage regarding a vehicle of interest. This vehicle was a 1997 four-door Nissan Altima, beige in color, bearing the Wisconsin registration, beginning with A and ending with O. To clarify, law enforcement is currently in possession of the identified vehicle. Jesse and Katrina are not the owners of the vehicle. Our interest is not with the current owner of the vehicle, but only in camera footage captured on February the 19th between the hours of 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. Please contact our tip line with any tips or leads for any video footage, etc., etc. So my question is, why those specific times? Thank you so much, Alex, for stopping in. Guys, if you guys are not already following Alex Erickson, you need to do so. She covers all of the cases, like all the cases. I know my thing says about trial because I had it updating from Harmony's trial, so I need to go change it, but she covers so many things. And so go over and check her channel out. But I do want to show you guys this timeline. Somebody on Facebook has been putting this together with each of the updates as they come in. And they're doing a really great job, honestly, just capturing everything and giving us a kind of look at what time frames to pay attention to. Now, you just heard me say that the police are looking for that footage from the 19th from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. Why those specific times? I'm not sure. They have not indicated to us at this point why they're looking for that time frame. My guess is that they have some type of information that is leading them for the movements of those cars. Now, how far can you go in a 5-hour time period? That's 2.5 hours out and back for somewhere. And so that's concerning. So this one here is the timeline. It goes down through. I'm not going to read everything, but it talks about every single statement that has been put out by police and lays it into this time frame. And so I think the things that stand out to me the most in this is, let's see here. Where's it at? Okay, so on 2/17, between 6:39 and 6:49 is when he said that he gave Elijah the cold shower. And then that morning, that following next morning at 4:36 a.m. on the 18th is when he said he did fear me, but he didn't respect me, and now I'm making him respect me. What did he do to him throughout the course of that next day? And then these two seem to be communicating on a regular basis, almost in near constant contact. And so, was she aware? Were there text messages that the police are not telling us about between the 19th and the 20th? What highlights that 2 p.m. time frame to 9 p.m.? And are we in a situation where whatever happened to Elijah took place between the evening of the 17th and the early morning hours of the 18th? I want to know, do they have any more pictures of Elijah after the 18th? Is there anything from that that would show the type of abuse? Because it seems like they would take pictures of his abuse and what was happening and almost pat themselves on the back for it. Like, look what I made him do now. Aren't you proud of me? Look how good I abused your son now. That's really what I'm thinking. We're going to be looking at that time frame there. Hi, Angela. Yeah, they need to be locked up for good. I wish that we could do harsher punishments for criminals like this. Was it Florida? I think just recently passed the law that if you essay a child under 11, you get the death penalty now. I was like, thank you, Florida. Needs to be any type of child abuse, though, honestly. So we're in this situation, though. We still don't know where Elijah is, and we don't have this information. All we have is just the ability to share his story and keep sharing his photo out and hope and pray that somebody has information that can help lead to where this baby is at. So that's where we are there. Yes, they are. They are completely surrounded by water. And that's what concerns me. Just so easy to toss a baby in the water and pretend that he got out and drowned or something along those lines. Just a lot of access to different areas for him. Yeah, it should be in every state. I agree. Yes, Florida, it's 12 and under. Yeah, they don't play. That's good though. We need more states need to stop playing with this child abuse and stuff. It's crazy. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to bring up is Sebastian. And I'm going to talk about Sebastian. I do want to say that Sebastian's case, first of all, put a 1 in the chat if you guys have already been following Sebastian Rogers. He is the autistic 15-year-old that went missing, and his parents have been searching for him. He's been missing since February the 26th from Tennessee. And so put a 1 in the chat if you already have been following this case. No, boyfriend is not bio dad. The car thing has you stumped. So I think that the car thing, honestly, it's just somebody lent them a vehicle that they were using, is my guess. Okay, so a lot of you guys have been following Sebastian's case, which is good. So with Sebastian's case, I'm going to show you guys a couple articles about him. And then we're going to take a look. Peter Hyatt this morning weighed in. And Peter is he does like analysis of people's statements. and what he thinks they meant, or, he like does the, like he tells you what those statements mean basically, and his opinion based off of what he's seeing and hearing in his professional, outlook on things. I cannot think of words. My words are not wording right now. Anyways, and so he is going to talk a little bit about the parents' interview. Now, the parents did 2 separate interviews. They did one with the news, and it was about 20 to 30 minutes long, and then they also went on Duchess discussions. And every time, let me preface this by saying this. Every time that we have a missing child's case, that the family speaks out, there is a sector of the internet that immediately place blame on the family and attack the family and do different things like that without any evidence or indication from law enforcement that there even could be foul play, right? And so that happens in every case. Now, unfortunately, in some cases, it's true, right? In some cases, like Madeline Soto, that we just seen, Alex Erickson covered that in depth. Behavior, yes, he is a behavioral analyst. Yes, thank you. He did Letitia Stout, whenever Letitia Stout was first posting all over the internet and things like that. So, some cases, unfortunately, the family is involved, and law enforcement comes out and they indicate that the family is involved, and then we attack the family, right? then we start looking at, okay, there's all these red flags, obviously they're involved, and we dig into the cases like that. I would say 90% of the time on this channel, you're not going to hear me question or attack the families unless there is some sort of indication as to them being involved, right? For the most part, I play very, very just supportive of the families. They need to have a safe place where they can go and spread information about their missing loved one and not be attacked. People should not be fearful to come to the internet for help whenever they genuinely have a missing person. And so that's my fear with, immediately placing the blame on people or looking, side-eyeing them, things like that. To a certain point, we have to hope that people are good, and then, later, whenever evidence calls for it, approach it differently, right? This case, I don't know why with this case, I don't know what to think. And I'm going to be completely honest about that. I personally, listening to the interviews and doing different things, I personally have had no major red flags with the family, right? I personally, listening to the things, I do believe and trust the family in this case. Um, with that being said, similar to what we've seen happen in Summer Wells' case, the police went from an from a missing child's report and things like that to is there the possibility of foul play now? And by foul play, they have not indicated which direction that they're going with foul play. And so that has led to many people insinuating and believing right off the bat that that foul play belongs to the parents. Um, I don't know. So let me just show you guys this for those of you who may not have seen this. They have been searching a landfill. From what I understand, they are not there today, but they were there yesterday. And so they said that there was no specific information that led to them searching to the landfill. It just seems like it was a just in case type of thing. Yes, there are 5 RSOs that live within a 3-mile radius. You hope they were all questioned, right? He still needs me to tie his shoes. Not that he can't learn, he just won't. Oh, Emmy Joe. Yeah, no way he would ever take off. I do try to stay very neutral, and that makes some people very angry. I can't I don't know. I would not want that if I was mm, I don't know. This case baffles me. It does me too. So this is an article, actually, let me start with the Daily Mail article. So this one says heartbroken parents of missing autistic boy Sebastian Rogers break down in tears as they feel helpless and hopeless as cops blast Eye of the Tiger into the woods to find him. So it says the heartbroken parents of missing teenage boy Sebastian Rogers have broken down into tears as the hunt enters its second week. Sebastian's mother and stepfather, Katie and Chris, said they felt overwhelmed and helpless, hopeless, and grief following the disappearance of their 15-year-old son in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He hasn't been seen since February 26th, when he is thought to have snuck into the Tennessee woodlands near his house. During the desperate search, police blasted Eye of the Tiger, his favorite song, on a loop. Sebastian's stepfather told WSMV4, "We are on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one. It's a never-ending roller coaster and it doesn't stop." So this is a picture of him. So it's in between shaky breaths, the boy's mom added, "I wouldn't wish this on anyone." The parents also detailed the circumstances surrounding Sebastian's disappearance. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Given how normal everything was, it came as a complete shock to Katie when she went to wake her son up for school and he wasn't there. They don't know what would have prompted their son to disappear into the woods, which lies in the outskirts of Nashville. The day before, Sebastian, who loves games, had been described as smart, had been laughing and joking. Sebastian's mother pointed out that it would make more sense if we'd been fighting. He hadn't even been in trouble, Sebastian's father observed. Katie Proudfoot explained to the interviewer how about 3 minutes after she found Sebastian's bed empty, she knew something was wrong. She called her husband, who was at work in Memphis, and told him that Sebastian wasn't in the house. The boy's mother searched for him everywhere, running all over the house, outside and inside. She looked for him in every closet. They called the sheriff's office and made a report. The authorities responded within minutes and said it was rapid fire. They had cars from here down to the main road. The Amber Alert was issued, and the state and local forces deployed helicopters, drones, boats, horses, and search and rescue dogs. Hundreds of trained professionals and volunteers descended on to look for Sebastian, combing through 2,000 miles of terrain on foot. I mean, they have looked everywhere for this child. Among the professionals, there were even mountain and cave experts. At one point, a drone was rigged with a speaker that was playing Eye of the Tiger on a loop. The Rocky theme is Sebastian's favorite song, and the authorities were hoping the song might lure him out of the woods if he was hiding. The whereabouts of Sebastian remain unknown, and on Monday, officials announced that they would be scaling down their search in order to transition to the investigative side. Throughout their interview, Sebastian's parents continued to be resolutely optimistic, with a note of sincere hope underpin their answers. He's going to walk through the door, and the street will be flooded again with family and relatives, all wanting to hug him and love him. The boy is going to have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home. You feel like the stepdad is involved somehow with his disappearance. You feel like mom has no clue. I feel like stepdad may have had her on the phone for that extended period of time, making sure that he didn't realize he was missing earlier. Hi, Thistle. Yes, welcome to the family. The lack of dog scent and no camera footage is what does it for me. I feel like we have that in so many cases, though, just to be honest. Like, I have seen cases. There was a missing teacher that we covered at one point. She was missing and she walked into the woods basically, and they couldn't find her anywhere. Anywhere. They had search dogs and search crews all through this wooded area for weeks, like literally weeks. Several months later, about 300 feet from where her car was initially found, they found her. A strange person just walking through the woods, like just hiking through the woods one day, came upon her remains after all of the search crews and stuff that the dogs had out there. And they did determine that, she basically unalived herself and things like that. But like we have seen them miss human remains before on these searches. And so um don't always, automatically think just because the search dogs didn't find somebody that they're not there. I hate to say that, but I can name several cases that happened in. Yeah, it reminds you of Quentin Simon in the landfill. Made you think of Harley Dilly. Right, maybe he went and tried to climb in somewhere and got stuck. All of his shoes are accounted for, but with textural issues, I don't see him not wearing any. I don't know. It depends. My daughter has texture things, like has sensory processing disorder. Um, but with hers, it just really depends on her mood. And so some days she prefers to have shoes because she doesn't want stuff touching her. But then other days, the actual socks and shoes bother her. And so she wants to be barefoot. It really just depends. And then you got the baby who won't wear shoes at all. She just wants to walk around everywhere. Right. Brian Laundrie was another one. They looked how long for Brian Laundrie. And then we all know Roberta just had his remains in her backpack and went and tossed him out. Oh, okay, Amanda. Absolutely. If we're not here, then we'll be over on Moe's. Right. Rodney. Kylie Rodney. They missed a whole car, 20 feet of water with the phone pinging at its exact location. It happens. It does happen where they miss things. I know. It is Emmy Joe. And that's the thing. So we get into this habit, right, with these cases whenever they have foul play and then it turns out to be the family. You want to know the real honest to goodness reason why I took my break? Madeline Soto should have been safe in her home, and she wasn't. And then watching the details and thinking to myself, her mom had to have known. Thinking to myself, none of this is adding up. And wanting to come out and publicly say everything that I was thinking and feeling. But then also being frustrated because every single time that we have a case like Elijah, or we have a case like Madeline Soto, every single time that we have a case that it is the parents, that it is the families that have violated and destroyed these children's lives, it's pinned at the top, clause. Every single time that we have a case like that. Every case that follows or that is going on at the same time, people also want to immediately blame the family. Right? That hatred and animosity towards the parents of missing children spreads into every other case at that point. And so then it gets to be too much, right? No, Roberta didn't really throw his remains into the woods. That's just what I always say, that she obviously had him in her backpack and took him and put him there because the police couldn't have possibly missed him for that many days searching the way they were. But still, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you look back at Kaylee Jones' case, I'm going to bring that one up. With Kaylee Jones' case, everybody was so convinced that she was murdered because the search dogs didn't pick up her scent. Do you remember that? That was the whole thing all over Twitter. They were attacking her parents to the point where her parents had to get restraining orders. Her brother couldn't go to work without people showing up there and trying to video him and take pictures of him and talk to him or calling his phone, things like that, because they were so convinced that Kaylee Jones was murdered by her dad, because her dad in interviews was very, very off-putting. He was very, very disconnected, and people were just weirded out by him. And then the search dogs didn't pick up Kaylee's scent. They didn't have Kaylee's scent leaving the home. The search dogs didn't go off on a trail somewhere. There was no indications really of how she left. Kaylee Jones is now safe at her house. She had left in the middle of the night with a man who is being charged with her disappearance, essentially, that she had met online. And she's safe, and her parents had absolutely nothing to do with it. But the scent dogs didn't find her. Why? I don't know. So sometimes the scent dogs, while I think in a lot of cases they can be reliable, sometimes they're not. I honestly think that it depends on, how long has the child actually been gone and things like that. I don't know. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like, it's not always foolproof. It's not always 100%. With that being said, though, I do want to pull up Peter Hyatt's statement, and we're going to take a look at his analysis of the parents' statements, because I don't know jack. I'm just a person with a YouTube channel that talks to you guys and gives you my opinions. So let's take a look at him, though. He's also just a person giving his opinion, but his opinion is based on more than just, a little bit about the internet, I guess. Like, his opinion is based on schooling and different stuff like that. So let's see what he has to say.
That. And then I'd like to also contrast that with the, I'm going to call him bio dad, the biological father, because the one we just saw now was a stepfather. And some of the things that I think were a bit concerning from what the parents, the mother and the stepfather had to say there. So it's very edited, so we have to be very careful, and we have to consider the context. And the context starts off with, we have a teenager.
I want to say I'm not sure why he used the very edited version, because they do have the version that is more, not edited. So I don't know. And I'm also curious if he's seen Duchess Discussion's video, where obviously he wouldn't be able to analyze body language, but he would be able to analyze their words. And that's what he primarily does anyways.
And that is, of course, always an area that can, or at least we should explore for the possibility of arguing temperamental, highly or acute hormonal responses. But in this case, we're looking at someone with autism. Kids with autism do run away. Kids with autism are drawn to water. And so those are things that are concerning. And I'd like to look at some of those external factors before we get to the language. So that's a concern. And the mother described how he will respond to his name. So that suggests that the autism is more than mild. When we look at a missing child with special needs, in spite of age 15, I don't know if he's capable of self-protection. I don't know if he's capable of obtaining food for himself, surviving out there, that sort of thing. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know much about him.
I think that's the big thing too, because autism is such a spectrum. Like, it's huge. We don't know if he is level 1 autistic, like, which is closer to what they used to refer to as Asperger's, or if he's closer to the higher end. Obviously he can speak. We heard mom say that he says, "I love you, mom. Good night." So obviously he can speak. He's not nonverbal. And so then where else is he on the spectrum, right? That plays a big part in this. Right. In my opinion, BioDad was very measured, probably because of his experience as a law enforcement officer. I think so too, Neat Noodle.
What I do know in behavioral analysis is that this heavy responsibility of having a special needs child may increase the odds of some form of abuse and neglect. It just, and this is not about this family, this is in general itself, because parents get worn down. They can lose their temper once and something can go wrong. They may have a difficult time getting breaks for themselves to recover. And none of this I know regarding this family, what it's like. All I know is from a few short quotes and a little bit of behavioral analysis. So number one, where there is a high need child, an acute need child, there's always a risk. And that can be from whoever is watching him or her at that time. Anyone can lose their temper. It takes a really special person to, I think, navigate some of these difficulties. Secondly, just going by statistics, stepfathers get looked at. Stepfathers and boyfriends are often found to be more abusive in these.
Honestly, how many cases is it the significant other? Not just step boyfriends or stepdads and boyfriends, but also whenever it comes to girlfriends, right? We've seen girlfriends be responsible too for some of these disappearances. And so all of that comes into play. Stepmothers, Letitia, right? You're unaware of 2 of them. Sebastian was the only one you were aware of. Now you got to do some researching to learn about the other 2 cases. Yes, half pint. You get annoyed. Autistic children are drawn to water. I get it. But teens, I think they're painting that picture for people falsely based on the cases of younger children. I agree. I feel like even with like a more severe level of autism, whenever you get past a certain age, they still start to learn about dangers. Um, and so I do think that, like, okay, maybe in a situation where if he could have been trying to get something in the water or go fishing or, who knows, that there could have been some type of accidental drowning or something along those lines. But that late in, I don't know. I think that I agree with you though. Younger children, that makes sense. I would say under like 7 or so for autistic children, that would make sense. But once you get to those teenage years, 15, I don't know. I struggle with that too. I do.
Type of cases. I don't know if that's the case here or not, but just one of those things that's going to factor in. It's like trying to think of a 15-year-old who is missing without thinking of the factors around the 15-year-old. It's difficult to do. And I'm not sure about the wisdom of it. We need to listen and we need to pay attention to the context. The next area of behavioral analysis is this particular station said that this is an exclusive, and the quote to introduce it, the story was, the mother or the family breaks their silence. So one of the questions I have is, why would you be silent? If your high needs or special needs child, 15, is missing, how is it that you're able to quench the instinct to call out to that child?
Now, I will tell you, I have witnessed with my own eyes, seeing messages from law enforcement or even heard, voicemails and things like that, whatever, from law enforcement telling parents of missing children to stay off of the internet. Do not speak to anyone. Do not talk to social media. I have seen it time and time and time and time again. And so, whenever people attack the parents of these missing children because they're not out there advocating, they're not out there doing this, they're not out there doing that, law enforcement is advising parents against social media because of what social media does to parents. Period. I'm actually kind of shocked that he touches on that, saying, well, they should have been out there searching. They should have been out there, putting out this information or whatever. Because honest to goodness, law enforcement, their worst nightmare is social media grabbing onto a missing child case. Because then guess what? Now they have to look for them under the microscope of social media, watching every dang move. They don't want that. So they want the parents off social media and to not speak to anyone, period.
For what appears to be about a week or so. Why would you need to break your silence? Why would you be silent? Why would you not immediately call out to that child? Interesting, we saw the bio father being interviewed. He was speaking to his son and giving him advice about how to run away. That's expected. That's a norm. But this delay concerns me, and I'd like to look at a couple of the statements that they said. So the bio dad spoke and said he was on a roller coaster. When you hear roller coaster, it means up and down, up and down. Perfect time for a interviewer to ask about that. What are the lows like for you? What are the times that are up like for you? But no such question was asked. He talked about coming through the door, which I was just a little concerned about in terms of how that plays out within analysis. I've heard him in other clips, and one of the ones I had cited, I believe I cited through social media, was with drop pronouns. I'll pull that up for you. The drop pronouns are always a concern, and here's what he said. So dad said, bio dad, if someone has you, run. Call 911, grab to anybody. That was good. That is something that's expected. The $1 million question, if you saw that quote, the $1 million question that he asked,
and many other
was fascinating to me.
Helpless and hopeless, and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. And won't stop until he walks through the door. My son doesn't run. He's not a runner.
Okay, I think it's a different clip then. I apologize. $1 million question is, where are you? That's the question that I would ask and reach out to him. That would work well. So the stepfather and the mother have both insisted that he left on his own accord. And you say, well, how do you know that? As a parent, if you wake up and find your child missing, your mind is going to race in every direction. You're used to caring for the child, now suddenly you can't. And so instinct is going to be engaged. Would you assume that the child ran away? Well, if the child has a history of running away, yeah, you probably would go there. But according to the mother, there was no history of that. And the stepfather, in dropping pronouns, he went right to the point. In fact, I will read that. He went right to the point of the door. And that was concerning. And in the point of the door, and saying he walked out, or actually he said walked out, would you know for sure that he wasn't taken, that he wasn't kidnapped, that he wasn't coerced, or that he wasn't persuaded? Would you right go on his own, that no one was influencing him, that sort of thing? And he was asked about that. And he said, because we found the door locked in the morning. So that inclusion is a little bit concerning to me. regarding how that is stated and how that's worded. And then there was another statement. The mom was asked about that day, and she actually said two things about that, and each of you caught that. There's several things, but about that day, it was pretty normal day. So there's nothing normal about a day when a child goes missing. There's nothing normal. What is concerning about that is that there is a need to portray something as normal. And there's a few other things that she said there that are very concerning.
So what he means by dropping pronouns, I went and looked that up real quick, just so that I could get the actual expert, body and language thing. It says that the lack of personal pronouns. Liars know that getting caught can get them in trouble, so they drop personal pronouns. It's especially apparent in writing. They might email and say, "Can't make the deadline." Lots of issues with suppliers. Note the clear avoidance of I won't be able to get this to you by tomorrow. I've had issues with suppliers. And so they no longer personally put any pronouns into the situations, saying that, or that tie them personally to the situation, basically. So they drop personal pronouns is what he's talking about. So essentially he is calling the mom and the stepdad liars. He is saying that their statements are not adding up and that they are lying in his opinion. Now, again, I personally listening to things, I believe them. He is going based off of, well, okay, so I believe mom for sure. I don't think that mom is being dishonest. This is my personal sleuth mom only opinion here on this channel. You heard it here first. I listened to both Duchess and the interview with the news, and I personally did not find any red flags with mom. With stepdad, there were some red flags in things that I was hearing, but mostly I think that that's because people always want to portray their relationships to be better than what they are with people because they're afraid of looking bad, especially in situations like this, right? Where a kid potentially ran away or disappeared or is missing, and you're worried about people looking at you in a negative light. And so then you overindulge or you try to make yourself seem like a better person than what you really are. And so Peter is saying at the beginning of this that he only looked at parts of their interview. And in his opinion, based on those parts of their interview, he thinks that they're lying. And he thinks that they're hiding something, essentially. That's his opinion. Now, he uses words, not their body language. He analyzes the statements and how their words flow together and the emphasis that they put on different things. Now, I will say with Letitia Stout, whenever he did her statements leading up to her being arrested, he was dead on. A lot of the things that he pointed out based off of the statement analysis were exactly correct. The details that she highlighted based off of, or that he highlighted based off of things that she said came to be exactly correct. And so, I don't know. It's one of those things where we have to take, obviously, his professional opinion into account whenever we're looking at this case, in my opinion. So, that's just, where we're at with it.
Things that we cover routinely, unfortunately, in these cases. So normal, portrayal of something is normal. It should put investigators on alert that what has taken place is anything but normal. The need to normalize something that is just way out there. I once had a case many years ago where a man was accused of sexually assaulting an adult with developmental disabilities. And my job was to investigate that. The referent said to me, you know, before you get out there and investigate this, I need you to know that the guy that's being accused is a great guy. He's a retired medical doctor. He's in his 80s. He has a long white beard. He plays Santa for everyone loves him. He's a great guy. And I said, okay, thank you. And as was my habit for these things, when I do an investigation, I don't let anyone set up an appointment for me, or at least I didn't. I do it myself. I make that call. It's very important because the first thing that someone hears is going to be important. Now, this man that I was calling to set up an appointment to speak is not supposed to know about the allegation. He shouldn't know. And that's very important. I want the cleanest response. I want him to say, I didn't molest so-and-so. I didn't touch him. When I introduced myself and told him where I was from,
You know what, Mr. Tomato Head, that is a good call out. You're right, because she was talking about the day before she said it was normal based on that article we read. And we can go back a different time and watch their interviews. We'll watch them together. I'll pull up Duchess and timestamp different parts that we want to hear off of Duchess, and then we'll watch the interview that the news did with them. But you're exactly right, because she said that it would make more sense if we had been fighting. Let me go back to that. She said the circumstances, or the details around the circumstances. Says everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did. Good night, Mom. I love you. Given how normal everything was, it came as a complete shock when she went to wake her son and he wasn't there. She said that the day before, he had been playing games, laughing and joking. She said it would make more sense if we'd been fighting. He hadn't even been in trouble. And so I wish that Peter would take the entire interview and watch it and do his statements off of that, because here's my fear, that people are going to watch this and be like, look, Peter Hyatt's saying that they're guilty. Obviously they did something. Peter Hyatt's calling them liars. Obviously they're lying. But then he's taken these broken statements and he's putting them together to give his opinion. I wish he would redo it with the full interviews and then give us his opinion so that we could see like an actual analysis of it, because I want to know, am I getting better at my lie detector with these cases and calling out whenever there's foul play, or am I losing? Am I not? Because honestly, a lot of times I can tell right from the beginning. And so this one, I never got that feeling. I don't know, but I've been wrong before. I have been wrong before. Like I said, I'm just a mom on YouTube. He's an expert, but he's also taking broken statements.
Before I could get another word out, he yelled at me and he said, I am a normal man. The word normal, when someone uses that way, they're telling you something. They've either been considered abnormal by others, or they may consider themselves abnormal. It's the need to commit that. And I knew right that the first sentence, I knew he did it. The victim in this case had gone weeks
without about a different
showering. He was more outgoing, and then suddenly he wasn't. You know, he was suffering and will suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that this man was concerned about being portrayed as abnormal, and he was giving that away. So to understand that, what I sometimes do in a seminar is I'll say, okay, children, let's gather. Once upon a time, it was a day like every other. And you will naturally see kids sit up a little bit because they know what's coming is not like every other day. It won't be boring. So when someone portrays something as normal, always look for the opposite. Always ask, why do they have a need to portray it that way? Mom went further. Mom said it was pretty normal. And so I looked at that. And now I'm concerned as anything but. And then she said, I told him to go to bed and he did. So she's, he's obedient. I'm not sure how many 15-year-olds obey that well, but remember, this is normal. And the 15-year-old said, "Good night, Mom. I love you." And that is, in context, a concern. It has to be only in context. And here's why. We find this in domestic homicides and domestic violence, other problems, where someone says, "I said goodnight to my daughter. I love you. Have a good night's sleep." And the need to include that I told my daughter, for example, that I love her, while giving a statement under duress of a missing child or of an investigation, is a sign of something very wrong. Now, why is that? Think about it. If I said, raise your hand if you tell your children you love them when you put them to bed, everyone does so. It's the need to tell police. It's the need to tell an audience while an investigation is going on. That is the alarming. And I had covered this once in a seminar where someone objected. And so I attempted to explain. I said, no, it's not concerning that you tell your child that you love him or her. It's concerning that during an investigation, that unnecessary emphasis is given. Well, no, I don't care. I want people to know I love my child. And that particular person had just been reported to Child Protective Services. So there was an alarm there. So it was provocative. We've also been able to, at times, with statements like this, I saw my girlfriend. I said, I love you. We'll see you later, babe. Term of endearment, pointing to the time of death. And I'm not saying that Sebastian isn't alive. What I am saying is I am very concerned about the need to portray the day as normal and then to verbalize him telling me, the mom, that he loves me. In other words, I'm a really good mom. I'm a good person. My 15-year-old tells me. He goes to bed right when I say so, and he tells me.
Okay, so I guess he wasn't actually referring to the day that he was reported missing. He was referring to the day leading up to it, so he's throwing the red flags. Right, and it doesn't mean that he's necessarily saying that they're liars and things like that, but this is him calling attention to what he feels are red flags or inconsistencies in the statements, right? For law enforcement to investigate deeper. Yeah, well, if that was the last thing that you said, wouldn't you include it? I would think so, Angela, but I don't know. I feel like my speech pattern in general, if I were to be in a situation like this, with the things that I say and the way that I talk, because I'm not, the traditional type of person, I guess, definitely not the most politically correct. I think that I would get myself in trouble a lot if I ever had my statements and Alice done. I would be in big trouble. I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm just going to play the video again.
Loves me. Now, I want every 15-year-old to obey her parents and go to bed when they're told to and get good night's sleep and say, I love you. That's great. But here, coming from a mother who has been silent for a week, who used the word normal, raises concern. And he was not a runaway. Oh, by the way, she also said about she went to wake him up for school or a day like that. She gave the reason of why she's waking him up, which catches my attention as well. He's not a runner. I don't know why he walked out that door. The fact that this is coming a week or so later is really concerning. If she had said it in the beginning, I don't know why he walked out that door. It's an assumption. And he was a runaway. And he was experiencing teenage angst, for example. That might be fitting. A week later, he hasn't been found. The search has been tremendous. And you're still making that assumption? I'm now really concerned that he didn't walk out that door because of the language. And by the way,
I mean, So to me, it would be my assumption that he walked out the door. And I know he's saying, like, how can you prove that something more nefarious didn't happen and that he for sure went out the door and things like that? But, like, wouldn't that be your assumption? To a certain point, right? Because he's 15. He's not, I mean, he's 15 with, a limited age range mentally because of his autism. So who knows what developmental age he actually is? We don't know that information as far as like how far or where he's at on this spectrum. We know he's highly functioning, but is he, more like a 10-year-old, more like an 8-year-old? We don't know that information, right? Um, but to me, I guess that my assumption would be there. Like if I wake up tomorrow morning and my son for some reason is not in his bed, he's 13, I would assume that he walked out the door because he didn't just disappear. I would assume that that's how he got outside. I wouldn't think like, oh, he went out his window or, whatever. I would just think that, oh, he went outside somewhere or something along those lines. Yeah, Danielle, the one thing that stuck out to you was that she said that he liked to be clean, but then said that his shoes were left at home. So for me, it's always a red flag whenever kids like going, missing like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old go missing with their shoes on. That to me is always a red flag instantly. But I feel like at 15, like he would put his shoes on, especially if he liked to be clean. I can't imagine taking a flashlight with him and walking out the door, but then not taking his shoes. Yeah, and then they said that the door was locked. They did say that the door was locked and that he was dressed in black. How do we know that he was dressed in black? Was that what he was wearing at bedtime? I don't know. That always bothers me whenever they're able to name the exact clothes. I'm sorry. I would never in a million years be able to tell you exactly what my son left the house in just by looking at his laundry. He has so many clothes. He has so many. I would never be able to be like, oh, the black shirt and the black pants are missing. I don't know. And so stuff like that, that's a red flag. Did they see him on camera leaving? Maybe. Is that how they knew? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. They are in a couple of interviews and I'll pull up, well, like I said, we'll watch the one from the news at a different time and we'll also take different portions of Dutch's discussion. She has a video doing the interviews. Let me see here. Let me get Duchess's link. And then while I'm getting that though, I'll press play again because I do want to get us over to Mo. So yeah, he's 15 and no shoes. That's more of a red flag. Even 15 and autistic with maybe like the thought process of a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old still would probably have shoes, in my opinion. I would, anyways. But I'm me, and he's him. And every kid's different.
I am glancing at the comments when I can, and someone wrote, "My son is nonverbal, so very vulnerable." It's unbelievable for people on the outside to understand that, how vulnerable they can be, including as adults, which was the case I cited earlier about the molestation of an adult male. Those that are nonverbal are open to all sorts of abuse and anger and outrage and everything else. So I don't like the assuming he walked out that door. Then we have the interviewer, again, with the theatrics and the, just not a clean interview, but she asked them about coming under that suspicion, and he didn't want to be judged. He wanted people to be quiet about it. And he didn't issue a denial, which always concerns me. But this is just my opinion after listening to them. I don't think things were good the night before he went missing. I don't believe it was a normal, peaceful, loving household like that.
So this is probably closer to accurate, right? Like the red flags that I felt with stepdad. Now, mind you, I told you I didn't have an issue with the mom. Like, I didn't feel red flags with her. With stepdad, did get a little bit of red flags. But like I said, I think that it's people's tendency to try to paint their family as some happy, loving, always getting along, hold hands and skip down the river family. Like, people you're not going to come onto a news station or onto a YouTube video and be like, listen, me and my teenage son, me and him always are perfect. We always get along and things are great. That's what people typically want to say. You're not going to come on and be like, listen, me and my kid fight like animals every day. He won't listen to me. All he wants to do is be bad. Like, you're not going to come on to a thing and say that. Like, oh, he disrespects me constantly. Then you look like freaking Jesse and Katrina that we talked about earlier, right? And so that's just not the reality. No family ever is ever going to say, we had issues all the time or something like that. And I think that that's more so along the lines of where the lies fall into place with this family. Trying to paint things is as leave it to beaverish as they can sound, instead of what things probably were. Right. No one's lives are perfect. No way that that's possible. Maybe one day could have been perfect, maybe close to perfect, but not every day. And so I think that that's where some of the red flags come in, because I think there was probably animosity or some type of fighting or just being difficult. Sometimes kids are just difficult. Sometimes stepdads are just difficult, right? Sometimes it's just hard. Those relationships are just hard. Does that mean that they killed him though? I struggle with that. I am struggling with that. I don't know.
So at best, I think he ran away because they had a fight or something went wrong. And that's just my opinion. If they want to persuade me how good things are, it alerts me to the opposite. The mom said later, regarding that morning, it was good. He was laughing. My question is, when did you hear him laughing? So I have concerns about the environment. Now, worst case scenario, which I hate to entertain, but of course it's provocative, is that we'll see a further investigation into the stepfather and the mother. That's worst case. So I go from, at best case, he's found, he ran away because of what happened that night. And the worst case scenario is the possibility of mother and stepfather facing criminal charges. Any questions? I know there's very little to go on in terms of the statements and the heavy editing by the.
So that's pretty much where he leaves it, right? And then he asks and answers a couple questions and stuff like that. Like I said, I would prefer if he would watch Duchess, right? There's 25,000 people have seen the full interview now on Duchess Discussions. If you haven't, consider going over to watch that interview. I did put her link up above. I think he needs to watch the full interview with Duchess. I think he needs to watch the full interview from the news. It's out there. It's 30-some minutes long. Instead of watching the 3-minute clipped version and giving his opinion and painting them in this light as to, whatever. Now, the red flags and the little pieces of statements that he's seen, do I see those red flags? I get it. Yes, I do think that there's probably a situation where, maybe there was a fight. Maybe something bad did happen. Maybe they were not getting along, or maybe there was some type of reason that they have guilty knowledge, is what I would say, of why he ran away, right? But for now, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination we have anything that can co-sign that they did something nefarious or even foul play towards him yet. Not a perfect family, right? They weren't a perfect family which is what they are probably wanting us to believe. But I don't think that they're murderers. That's just my opinion. I think that he is out there somewhere. Hopefully that he can be found, and that, you know, I just don't want it to end up like Ryan Larson, right? Ryan Larson went missing, and unfortunately, they have never found him. And his mom just made movements recently within the last year to get him to be announced basically as deceased so that she could sue the school that he walked out on. Right? Why hasn't anyone mentioned the RSOs? What if he befriended one of them? What if he was talking to somebody on a video game? I mean, that happens so much. Happens so much. Did you hear that something was missing out of their garbage bin? You don't know how factual it was. I don't know. I did see that. I'm not sure if it's factual or not. But then you have the fact that they are searching the landfill for him yesterday. They were not back today, as far as what I know, but they were there, that week or this last week here. The family, or so it says, authorities were at the back of the family's house on Thursday backyard appearing to take photos. They were also digging through the trash at the landfill looking for clues. They said they don't know what they'll find, but they say the search is part of leaving no stone unturned. There's the possibility that some evidence was disposed of in the trash. All of the trash at Sebastian's home and the neighborhood was picked up and disposed of before he was even reported missing. It wouldn't be the first time that parents had waited until trash pickup came to report their kid missing. Okay, the stepdad said his gaming stuff was locked down and he couldn't talk or chat with people. Hi, Dynamite. I don't know. There's a lot of questions I still have in this one. I'm having a hard time. I wish that police would tell us if they're looking at the family or not, essentially. You drove over to their area and didn't see anyone in the backyard. Interesting. I wonder though, because this article is from yesterday, it looks like. Updated this morning. So this is from News 5 Nashville. So I wonder how long they were actually there. It says no one is giving up on the search for Sebastian, but at the same time, authorities appear to be moving forward with a possible criminal investigation. They've named no suspects, and detectives say that Sebastian's family has been cooperative. As this investigation continues to evolve, authorities are still going through security video from the homes in the area, and they do continue to depend on tips from the public. Music City Mom, I'm curious, how many Ring doorbell cameras? Did you notice any cameras or like video cameras on the side of homes or anything like that? Yeah, the more Stepford wives they make it, the less I believe it. I agree. I don't know, but I'm interested to continue obviously digging into this and following it. Like I said, we'll compare the interviews, the full interviews between Duchess and the news, and we'll take time and do a live about that. I'm also going to be doing a live about Cody Bigsby's trial, most likely sometime tomorrow. And so keep an eye out for those two lives to come up. You live about 5 minutes from them. That's crazy, Music City Mom. Right, stuff could have been tossed by somebody else. It doesn't necessarily have to be the parents. I do. See, I always look into the RSOs. But I know you're talking to Music City Mom. But okay, so we are going to go over now, guys. Mo has been live for about 12 minutes now. I went over on mine. Sorry about that. But we're going to go over and check out Mo. She has been covering Sebastian for like the last week or so. And she's a very smaller creator. She would certainly appreciate you guys coming over and checking her out. Very new And so she's still learning and growing and things like that. But here is her link. Interested to hear her opinions and her take. Everybody has different opinions on this case for sure. It's one of those. Are you playing guitar? You play music for them while we say goodbye? You want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Bye. Musical songs and tunes from Junior. Bye.